Welcome everyone to the Speakers Showcase featuring distinguished Toastmaster Richard L. Hardon. I am Kate Wimgrove, Training and Development Director with Toastmasters International, and I am so excited to be with you here today to moderate today's live Q&A session. If you'd like to ask Richard a question during the course of our time together, please click the Q&A button. It should be located at the bottom of your screen, and you can type in your question and hit send. And you can start doing that right now, and we will do our best to get to as many questions as possible. I'm going to say those instructions one more time just in case. So if you'd like to ask Richard a question, you can click the Q&A button. It's at the bottom of your screen. Type your question in and hit send, and we'll do our best to get to as many questions as possible. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce Richard L. Hardon. Richard is a business transformation expert specializing in the innovative use of systems, strategies, and solutions to help enterprises and individuals get to where they want to be. A true Toastmaster, Richard has served many club, area, and district level roles. Richard's education session titled Move Them Without Seeing Them is available to watch on demand, and we are so honored that he is joining us live today. So please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Richard L. Hardon.
You got the jazz hands applauses. Good morning.
Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're joining us from.
Right.
All right, so we have some questions ready, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So first off, Richard, we just want to say thank you so much for sharing your message, your energy, and your positivity with us. And we're kind of curious, has everything in 2020 been positive for you? How is all of this affecting you?
Well, Kate, is a great question. And no, I've lived through the same 2020 as everyone out there, meaning it's been a challenging year. Point of fact, my dad has been in the hospital for most of the last month. He was just released yesterday. So the good news is he was released, but there have been challenges. And that's a part of understanding and deciding what the outcome is. Because what's true about 2020 is it's been 2020. It's been different. It's been unexpected. It's been challenging. But I feel that in the midst of challenges, there's opportunity. And if we just understand that things happen, they're just occurrences, but we make the decision about how we respond to the challenges, that's what gives us the opportunity to change things. And so, no, I have to say up front, no, 2020 has not been all joy. There's been a lot of anxiety, a lot of things that are different than I want to see them, but taking responsibility for what I can change, because that's the three categories of things that they talk about. There's things that are my business, there's other people's business, and there's God's business. So it's just deciding which category of thing am I looking at? What can I do about it? And releasing the things that aren't mine. And that can be hard.
That can be hard, but
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, so this question actually really resonates with me a lot. So your message on moving our mindset, you talk a lot during it about the morning, getting up early, and to be perfectly honest, I'm not really a morning person. So what do I do then?
Well, here's the reality. A part of what we have to do is carve out time for ourselves. And what I find for most people, especially most Toastmasters, is we're already busy. And then we added on a full-time hobby to the end of the day. But what I find about the morning is it gives that opportunity. Now, right now, you're surprising me because I believe you must be a morning person to be this ready, because you're in Colorado and I'm in Atlanta. So you got at least a 2-hour jump on the rest of the world, because it is now your 5 a.m., my 7 a.m. And what I started to see was, because the world slowed down here in Atlanta, meaning my wife's a teacher. So usually I set my day by getting up before her to help her get out the door. So that meant I was up 5:30, 6 a.m. But once she started sleeping in till the sun came up, so did I. And that slowing of pace meant that I was moving slow at the time where things get going. And so I found myself initially, this was an initial reaction to new normal, getting less done in a day, having a longer list, and being more displeased with what I had done. But by taking on the morning ritual, because it's a set of things. First thing is just deciding to get up without snooze. As a matter of fact, if you just try it for 30 days, just try this. Set your clock earlier and get up without snooze, because there's something you're meant to do other than work all day, pay bills, and die. Right? So you got to jump up with purpose. And the second thing about that morning time is you set the momentum for the day. They say, Earl Nightingale said, the morning is the rudder of the day. It sets the course for how you'll navigate. And so what I found by getting up, normally I did cardio. This year, all of a sudden, yoga is my thing, right? So day's not ready until I've had my tea, done my initial yoga, and done some cardio. So I try to get to between 5,000 and 10,000 steps before the sun comes up. That way, I meet the day with a higher energy level. Does that make sense? And you got that choice. You can be the thermostat or the thermometer. Instead of the day telling me how it's going to go, I'm already winning. I've already invested in myself. I've already read my books. I'm already doing my affirmations. I've already thought into a positive direction versus neutral. And that's how you win. You start in the morning.
All right, all right. So I need to find something that's kind of going to make me excited to get up in the morning. I guess there's a reason they call them sun salutations, right?
Sun salutations, absolutely.
All right, all right. Okay, so next question. Why do you feel like right now specifically is the time to focus on those solutions and those improvements?
Well, it's a combination. Number one is differentiating. So if you think about the times that we're in right now, because I think it's that the problems that we're having, other than this little thing that we can't see, it's made us sit still for the big problems we've always seen, but not taken time to deal with. Right? So now you don't have anywhere to rush off to be. You just click on the next Zoom and you'll be at your next meeting, right? So in that time, without the hustle and bustle, it puts a magnifying glass on a lot of things. So, for example, here in America, the whole issue ongoing of systemic racism, it's been a thing my whole life. But now everybody's home, it's broadcast, and it is time to have those meaningful conversations about change. Because if you really think about life in this way, there are a number of areas that we are able to hide from with busyness. Does that make sense? This year, for the first time, all the time was available to go through and take those receipts out of the boxes and finish that set of taxes, or to get rid of, there used to be a desk back here. It's where the kids did stuff on the home computer as a family. All of my kids are in their 20s. Why do I have this desk with Rita Rabbit and The Sims? Nobody's gonna do that stuff again. So it's time, it gives a time to clear out and declutter, but it's also the way that we lead into the new normal. Then if you think about all the investments that we make as Toastmasters in developing a message, getting our speaking skills together, in understanding who we are and expressing that to people, it's one of the easiest times to differentiate if you know, right? Because that's why I had to get back to. Number one, get up in the morning knowing you got something to do, not waiting for something to happen to you. But number two, people out there are looking for solutions. They're looking for answers. I mean, it's a thing that my friend Tom Nixon at NSA Georgia, shout out to Tom Nixon, Toastmaster and NSA, he calls it doom scrolling, where literally they're going through their news feed, looking at what was sad with what was tragic, and just ignoring everyday magic. There's magic happening every day, but somebody has to deliver that message, because people are just being bombarded with stuff that's not the answer. Just another magnifying glass. Here's the problem, here's the problem, here's the problem. Who has a solution? I do. You do. Come on, we do. So that's what we got to focus.
So we've been given this amazing opportunity. We have, by virtue of being thrown out of our normal routines, been given this reset button so we can kind of refocus everything that we're doing on the things that are true priorities for us. I love that.
Absolutely.
All right, so we have a question from Lana McFarlane, and Lana would like to know what motivated you to give this presentation?
Well, two things. And hey, Lana. Lana is absolutely wonderful. If you get a chance to meet her, she has, number one, the best phone voice in the world. I just let her leave me voicemail so that I can listen back to see what she said. But thinking of the motivation for this was my own sense of needing to do something other than sit here and suffer. Does that make sense? Meaning, because my life normally is very busy. Hartsfield is the busiest airport in the world. And I'm usually there at least 3 or 4 times a month, taking off to fly somewhere, say something or sell something. And all of a sudden, like my go bag, I have a bag that's already ready to go. I just have to choose what shirt and jacket go with the things in the bag, right? It's just sitting there like dusty. It hadn't had anywhere to go. So number one, from a business continuity point of view, I had to still conduct the sales activities that I have for my job. I'm a technology solutions architect. So I still have to embrace the power of technology to help people do things differently, but now I have to do it from here. And in most cases, see, in Zoom right now, we can see each other. But in professional Zooms, a lot of times you'll get on and there's a room full of 20 names, no faces. So you don't know if they're looking, if they're multitasking or any of those things, but you do have to think enough, empathize into their minds to move them to action to do something differently. And especially in my speaking and financial education business, it's a combination. Finance is a thing that people are taking more seriously right now. They don't know what to do, but part of it is it's hidden, right? The secret to finance is hidden in 2 things: math, which most people don't enjoy, and money, which you have to make interesting enough for people to feel that they can conquer those things. Because it's only a challenge. And if you got a solution and you structure it in a way that engages them, you can still help people solve the problem while they have time and attention to take care of it. Make sense? So it's actually out of my own need. I was looking around like, what are we going to do about this? Like, what do you mean we got to cancel the contest? We're doing a contest on Zoom? That's not possible. Okay, yes, it is. Okay, I'll be the contest master. Okay, let's try. Okay, let's have fun. We can. So it is that transition of all the things that I used to go out to do. Now still needing, most of those things are still necessary. They still have to get done. And in that, it was a hidden blessing, meaning now I get to do way more because the next meeting is 1 click away.
I love it. That's awesome. All right, we have a question from Sheila Davis Wiley. And
Hey,
Sheila says, number 1, thank you for representing District 44 so well. And so Sheila says, your statement, if the miracle in your mouth got into their minds, you could change lives. You would change their lives. Excuse me, I misstated that. She said that statement was a game changer for her. And she's curious, what was the miracle from someone's mouth that changed your life?
Wow. There are so many. But I think, I think back to actually in my teenage years. I had 2 pastors. So there's Reverend Joseph Lowry and Walter Kimbrough. And Dr. Kimbrough, during his time with us, he always consistently gave that message. I can do all things. I can do all things. I can do all things in Christ who strengthens me. So that was our doxology at the church. But when I was in our confirmation class with him, he said, you can do this. Up until then, I've been a mediocre student. I was good enough. I was really smart, but often unfocused and unattentive. And I'd given him the note that I was going to be on the honor roll. And he says, no, you can do better than this. That point on, I didn't make a grade below a 93. I graduated valedictorian. And it was that message that he put into my mind to say, you can do this. You can do better than this. And just that one set of words from somebody I respect, I admire, I love, changed my approach to things that people think are hard. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. But now I got to go over here and hide from y'all behind my camera. Hang on. I'm over here cleaning up. All right. Back. Got it together. Woosah.
Woosah. All right. So another question that we have here. Affirmations, right? We like to affirm out loud, but sometimes we might be nervous about setting too high of intentions with our affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of us that are just starting out with these affirmations, what are some simple affirmations that we might use to say to ourselves?
Okay. And here's some that if you actually listen to my long version of talks, I have an ongoing dialogue that I have to remind myself. And especially during these times, I had to pull it back out just to remember. Try this one. And this is good for today. Anybody out there that's starting something, all is well and I am safe. All is well and I am safe. Now, again, that's environmental, meaning there's a lot wrong in the world. There's a lot of places to be consumed by the secondary pandemic, which is fear of the unknown. But if you really think about the majority of people in the world, on a day-to-day basis, most things are well. They're as they should be. And you're safe in that moment. That releases the fear. But then as you start thinking aspirationally, because there is a set of things in terms of the world of affirmations where you're talking to yourself. And the reason I say talk out loud, say it out loud, it's less easy for the voice in the back of your head to talk you out of it. Do you know what I mean? You know, I have amazing vitality and energy is a lot easier to do if you say it while you're up and out and walking. If you're sitting on the couch, I have amazing vitality and no, you don't. It's right there. It's right there talking back to you. It's like you're affirming, but it's I'm the best of the best. I am a winner. I'm a champion. I am a money magnet. Money comes to me easily and abundantly from a variety of sources known and unknown to me. I enjoy doing what I do and getting paid handsomely for it every day. So it is starting off with just the areas of your life where if you look at how it is now, know that I am is the most important combinations in the world. As a matter of fact, that's how everything else was created. So embrace it and just practice. What I say, practice, move while you do it, because moving actually lets the brain go with you versus necessarily trying to sit still and say it out loud so that you hear yourself saying it and you hear yourself saying it so that one doesn't win.
I do have to say my own little small voice can sometimes get quite sassy with me. And it was fascinating as you were speaking through those different affirmations. I'm not saying them, I'm listening to you say them. But you said the all is well and I am safe. And I felt kind of a settling in my body of, oh, and I felt myself relax in a way that I haven't thought that in a while. And it really resonated with me. And then you started speaking the other affirmations and I started feeling my energy start picking up. That was amazing, Richard. Like amazing. Okay. So,
and just imagine what happens when you start saying it every day in the morning while exercising. People will meet you, they're like, why are you on 10 at 8 a.m.? Because I got up so early. I got started working on me so that by the time I met people that had not done those things, I was already feeling and thinking differently so I didn't get sucked into their world.
And you can actually start pulling them into yours, right?
Yep.
Because I'm not personally a morning person, but I'm starting to think I might want to be.
You gotta be. It's already 4 a.m. and you've already done affirmations. You've done exercise. You're winning. Go, Katie, go.
All right, our next question that we have, this is another one from Sheila, and Sheila would like to know, which was more challenging for you, competing as a semifinalist in the International Speech Contest or being a conference presenter in a virtual environment?
That's a good question, Sheila. You know, I actually think that being in the contest was more difficult because of less operating window. See, the tough thing about a contest for a keynote speaker is most of my topics are 45 minutes to an hour. Like even the session I did for Toastmasters for the virtual, I had to take out about half of the content to land it in the recording time, but at least I wasn't in a competitive format where I'm looking at judging rules and timing and knowing that if I go 7 minutes and 1 second, this contest is over. Where at least with the virtual contest, I had the opportunity and time to do it, number one, from right here at the house with the best audience member in the world, my dog, Kovu. Does he look at me while I'm speaking? No. But he knows when I'm about to end, and he's right there waiting to go walk outside. He's like, that's his favorite thing. I can tell Dad's finishing a speech. We might get to go outside. So I think it was a bigger challenge to be in the time constraint for speaking in the contest and being in a competitive environment, where with this education session, I really got a chance to just pour out what had built up in me as frustration first, had become a message that I think will help people get to their next level in life. And the only way I can lose in this one is people don't click on the link and look at it.
All right, so you are actively being an agent of change. And what else can we do as Toastmasters? How can we be agents of change?
Well, I think there's two categories, because even as I was thinking about the message and the parts that I paired out, the first thing that we can do is stand up and say what we need to say. Say what you need to say so that people have the chance to change. Because here's the advantage that we have as Toastmasters. We've actually practiced our delivery. Now, everybody's on Zoom now, but every Zoom I get on is my intention not to just be on Zoom, but to be on Zoom different than everybody else, right? I mean, if you put in hours and years practicing your delivery, you're a little bit more prepared than someone who goes in uncertain and a little bit afraid. But the second thing that we can do is invite them to practice. Meaning, now suddenly everybody is a camera personality. And the worst time to practice is when you're already on the air. So for people out there that, I know I get the feeling, like I can tell by how Zoom works, there are a lot of people that are less apprehensive about talking to a camera than they are talking to real people in real life in a big room. It's the same number of people, mind you, but now with the camera, it's on video, it's on YouTube. What you say is gonna be repeated over and over. So at least put yourself in a position where you've thought through it, have prepared purposefully, and as you put your message out, invite people, because now the other part of moving them without seeing them is they might not even see you at the same time that you're delivering. So those are the two things. Number one is saying the thing. So if you got a message out there about helping people physically or with their spirituality or with their walk, or especially with their finances, say it so they can hear it, because right now they have time to pay attention. The second thing, invite people that you see out saying things to come in here with us and practice. Get it together. Did you know that the light on this side of your face is much different than the light on that side of your face? So it's kind of the Phantom of the Opera effect. Practice so that you know what things translate back to the audience and get the feedback so that they can get better too. Because believe it or not, they have a miracle too. They just got to wake up, acknowledge it, and go tell the world.
I love it. So you did mention your speech title, Move Them Without Seeing Them. And Sunday Fade actually was curious, how did you come about this title?
Well, it was my reality, meaning because here are the other things that I do. So I've got my work, but I also have this group of speakers that I am coaching toward building a speaking business. And it's their first year. So in my ProPath group, we started with 12 people. We had one session in person where I talked about speech craft and stage presence and all of the elements of speaking. And then the world closed.
Richard, I'm not sure if you're still able to hear me, but I am not able to hear you.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to go ahead and repeat what you were saying just one more time, just so that our audience can actually hear it. I'm not sure if that was a me thing or an everybody thing, but just in case.
I had the same feeling. I just got my internet is unstable message, so that must mean people are waking up. We had free bandwidth until then, but so where was I? What did I say last in your remembrance? So
I think
everybody has a message.
You were starting to talk about how your first session was in person and then the world closed and you clapped, and that was when I lost you.
And then I silenced the internet. So here I have this group of aspiring speakers, and I told them in our first virtual session, because we were one of the first groups to have to transition to Zoom, and I said, well, normally our job as speakers, especially speaking in areas of change, and that's where I focus. You have something in you that you want to express and change the world. And normally that burden, that's what the preachers call it. The preachers call it the burden, is to move them without touching them. Right? But now you can't even see them. So the same message that you would have done right there with them, you got to take the things that are good in the message, but alter the delivery for an audience that you can't. Most of the, 90% of the people that are on a Zoom, if it's a big Zoom, you can't see them. There's no matter how many times you go to gallery view, you won't see them, but you got to make sure that they feel you. And so that's where that idea came from. It's just that idea that I'm not going to see everybody that I talk to, but I want to make sure that I touch them.
Beautiful. I love that. All right. It looks like we have time for one more question. And this is another question from Lana. And Lana is wondering, what did you learn technically presenting in this platform versus when you present in person?
There are so many things that I've learned, and that's a great question. So many things I've learned and that I'm still learning, right? Number one was I had to get back to what was good for me, and I like standing to speak. So I actually moved away. My desk is actually over there. So I have a whole separate session for my workplace and my studio sessions, and that's where I've been doing most of my working and speaking. But I needed to get up. I needed to move. And so the first thing I did was find a place where I could deliver standing up. Now, ironically, I did not have this fancy stand-up station that I have now. I had the ironing board from downstairs and a banker's box on top of it and my laptop on top of that so that I could get the camera at eye level, because eyes are the window to the soul. But if you try to look at all the people on Zoom, you look kind of cross-eyed. Right? So getting to a place where I could establish eye contact. And then my second realization was, I have a high level of melanin. I'm dark. So I had to get lights behind me so that people could see my face. Like, I know you've noticed by now, I use my eyebrows a lot. But without light, see none of that. So having to get lighting together, having to alter my delivery so that I'm still speaking to and visualizing a person on the other end of the lens. And then altering my placement, knowing that, they talk about the 70%. So you get the comfort of business up top, party on the bottom. But at the same time, there's so much less speaking area. So a lot of the things that I did that were big visual, physical things, like Lana knows me. So she knows I love to dance. Matter of fact, it's not a complete presentation until some dance has been done and taught. But trying to teach people how to do a right step cha-cha, it just doesn't translate the same way on Zoom. There's no feet in there. So lots of things that I've learned and am learning, and then making a bigger emphasis on the transition between my visual aids. Because a lot of people started just putting the PowerPoint up, not recognizing that whenever you do a PowerPoint, for example, in Zoom, PowerPoint is the star and you're this little backup character in the corner. So making sure that as I deliver, back and forth, Zoom to me so that I can check in, and then soliciting reactions from people who are muted. So encouraging people to chat, thumbs up, all of those things, just to make sure, do you hear me? Because I know I can't see you. So lots I've learned, and lots more still to learn.
That's fantastic. Thank you for those tips, Richard. And thank you just for your time today and spending this with us. This was so much fun for me. I hope everybody else enjoyed it as well. I'm sure you all did. And thank you to all of our attendees for coming and spending this 30 minutes with us on our speaker showcase. If you have not already, please make sure that you watch Richard L. Hardon's education session, Move Them Without Seeing Them. Wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.